All right, welcome back everybody. Well, this week we're going to go into one of my absolutely favorite bands from the 80s. When I was a kid learning guitar, when they came on the scene, it was like I was so thankful. Like I love all the 80s guitar, like Van Halen and all the Van Halen derivatives, you know, that dominated sort of the 80s guitar. But these guys were just straight ahead rock and Rickenbacker guitars and just straight ahead rock, and it sort of reminded you of like 60s a little bit, and I don't know, it was great. But one of my favorites, this is A Girl Like You by the Smithereens. Now recently the guitar player from the Smithereens, Jim Babjack, has a video out where he's actually talking about a bunch of their songs and goes into a little bit of how to play them and what was going on, which was awesome. You can check that out here, I'll link it. But this one's always been a favorite of mine, and he did touch on a couple of things that solidified some things that I wasn't so sure about. So I'm going to go ahead and go do a full boat lesson on this. So we're going to go through all of the sort of rhythm and the lead guitars that are dominating this song. And there you go. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell lets you know when I drop new content, which I do every single week. All my videos have chapters in them, so you can go right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar. Or even better, you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. Links in the description, so check it out. All right, so Smithereens. So the thing one to know about the Smithereens, if you haven't discovered this yet, is they are an E-flat band. They're one of these bands that tunes down to E-flat, and it definitely adds to their sound, but was definitely frustrating for me as a 15-year-old trying to figure out, like, why am I not getting it sounding right? So that's it. The first thing you do is you tune it down to E-flat, meaning your lowest string, you're going to tune down to E-flat, tune down a half step, and then you just tune the rest of the strings in the same intervals that you normally would, but everything's a half step down from the standard tuning, okay? So we'll call it E-flat standard. Call it that. All right, and as far as tone, just get some great rock. Whatever sounds good to you, but I'm going to go with that. He played a Les Paul. He had a 70s Les Paul that he played on this, and on the video, they're all playing Rickenbackers, and I always, for my whole life, I thought it was like, how did he get a Rickenbacker to sound like that? But it wasn't. It was his Les Paul, and he said he recorded it 7 times, at least for the intro, maybe, to get that big, giant sound. But I'm going to go with my SG. It sort of sounds like that more so in the room than my Les Paul. So that's the sound that I got going on. So dial that up. You can see what I got going on for my signal chain in the description below, by the way. All right, so let's talk about the intro riff. So that intro riff, I'm going to call out the chord name as if we were in standard tuning, okay? So I know, like, if I make an A-shaped chord, technically that's not A, that's A-flat, or G-sharp, whatever. But I'm going to call that A, and so forth, all right? Okay, that intro riff, so you're really just laying your index finger across. You're really only going to play maybe up to your 3rd string, but it's like power chords, right? So you're really emphasizing the root and the 5th there, and then you're gonna put your middle finger over here to hit that G note on the low E string, right? So that pattern, I'll do it slowly. So that's the riff, you know, at speed. There you go. So that's that part of the riff. And then we launch into sort of the main second half of that riff, and it uses the Smithereens chord, which is in a million of their songs, which he also talks about in that video. So you play that first top of the riff, and then you come over here and do a D power chord. And again, you're really only hitting maybe that. And then here's the Smithereens chord. It's in a bunch of their songs. So here's how you fret it. You're going to mute. You're playing the first string, the sixth string, the fifth string. You're muting the fourth string. You're letting the open third string ring. And you're fretting the third fret on the second string to get that D note. And you're muting the first string. So with all the mutes, that's the chord. And Jim talks about coming up with that chord and what he was trying to do when he found that chord or whatever. It's super interesting. But anyway, so there's that chord. And then you change it down to a E minor 7. You're going to hold your pinky on that note. Right? Same mutes. You're still muting the fourth string and the first string. So the whole riff. And on the record, I don't know how many tracks, he said 7. I don't know if the 7 run through the whole thing or not, but on the record, pan one side, you've got a guitar playing the riff that way. And on the other side, you've got a guitar playing the riff, and he just emphasizes the fifth and sixth strings. Right? So that one is going. And it adds definition to the whole thing. So you still hear those, those cool ring out open notes and everything, but it doesn't dominate everything because you have that other guitar holding down the main sort of meat of that riff, right? So one of them is doing the other one as it runs through the whole song. Just greatness. I just love that riff. So anyway, it runs through the verse, and that's what's happening through the verse, Until we get to the pre-chorus, and the pre-chorus is just a G, and you're going to do triplets to the A. These are all power. On the G, you're muting that fifth string. G, D, A. So that whole run again is G, starting with G. And then we end with our F to E. And that's how you get back to your A. Just rock, right? Goes around, does the verse again. Same pre-chorus after that and chorus. So I guess the formation is the same for the verse and the chorus, because the chorus is singing A Girl Like You over. That's interesting. I didn't think about that before. All right, so then it runs through the second verse and chorus. And the drums drop out. And the guitars are still going on. You're still hearing that's all still going on twice. But what he adds in terms of going into the lead is he does this great sort of A phrase or A chord inversion. Okay, okay, fretted like that. And as the riff is going on, he's going to do this. Which I thought was interesting. You can definitely hear, I just thought he was doing. But he talks about it on the video, and he's picking his finger up on the B string. Right, so that whole chord. Interesting. And then we launch into our guitar lead. And his guitar leads are, man, they are super fun. It's like early Kinks. And it's always sort of pentatonic box rock, which is fine. Just totally suits the song, right? I'm going to kick on just a clean boost here on top of what I've got going on here. And here's his sort of, here's his lead run. That's the first part. Greatness, right? It's all pentatonic right there. Just Chuck Berry leading into it. Double stops. And it's very deliberate, like the whole band is hitting those, because that little part is right when the chords are going. Right? And everything is just hitting very on time, which is super, super cool. And then we're sort of doing our double stops around the pentatonic, that box after that. And he just sort of lets that go. Slides up here. Just a G to an A. It just sounds very Kinks to me. I don't know, always does. And then there's this great harmony part, and I always thought he was playing it at the same time. I thought he was doing something like. You can sort of fake it, but it's not. It's actually two distinct guitar parts, and one part is the higher harmony. First part, and then the second part is the same sort of pattern up here on 12. So this first one is around that pentatonic box, and this one is around the other, that A minor pentatonic box there. But you know, same sort of bend that he's moving from the 5th position up to the 12th. So the lower harmony is doing just that, the lower harmony. So while the top one is doing, the lower one is doing. And this is all during the chords that are doing. It's all during that part, right? So the lower one again. And then as the high harmony moves up here, what gets played underneath that, the lower harmony does it's like that little intro from the Supremes song in the 60s. The title of the song escapes me now. I'm sure I'll put the title on here. Set Me Free, I think Set Me Free, I think is the name of the song. But it does that little, I think in that song it's up here. It's like that little Morse code thing. And so he had the low harmony do that, only down here on the either an open E string or fretted here, like while all underneath this, which was just super cool idea. All right, so then the only thing that's different is coming out of that solo, it just sort of sticks on that. Right, that sort of alternate just on the first half of the riff. And then they run through another verse, chorus, pre-chorus thing. And then on the outro, there's a little bit of soloing that goes on, sort of set back in the mix a little bit, but you know, while the main riff is going on throughout the outro. So Jim's doing one of these. And then he just sort of goes off. You know, just basic pentatonic rock in the box kind of thing, but it just totally fits that. And I think you hear he gets one of those in there. But all of those details are going to be available for my Patreon members, all tabbed out, even through that outro solo. So those of you who are Patreon members, you'll get that goodness. But all right, well, that was a Smithereens, A Girl Like You, and I hope you learned something new today. If this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell, give me a thumbs up, that helps. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, and if there's another song you want me to take on, let me know what that is too. And until next week, take care, everybody.